Who is your example of, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain? My dad used to annoy me by calling my Pokémon cards Pokemans. Now my kids have them and I do the same thing and it annoys the shit out of them. Henry Heimlich, inventor of the Heimlich maneuver, made up a bunch of untested uses for it, treating people having asthma attacks and drowning victims were the two I remember that he publicly talked up. Later, he funded an experiment that involved injecting people with malaria to see if it would treat other conditions. The experiment was found to be unethical by American review boards, so he conducted them in Ethiopia. I wanna see a villain that lived long enough to become the hero Bex used. That's far more interesting. Philippe Pétain. In WW1 he led the French to victory at Verdun, one of the worst battles in human history. In WW2, after France was beaten, Pétain was the head of state of Vichy France. Guy went from the Lion of Verdun to the biggest Nazi collaborator in France. Every organ until it gets cancer. Benedict Arnold almost died during the Revolutionary Way, if I recall correctly. And if he had, he would have been remembered a huge hero and a martyr. Instead he lived and changed sides, and is remembered only for his being a traitor. And Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby was once nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. Edit. Also the Emmys gave him a humanitarian award. Also the President Medal of Freedom. English engineer and writer James P. Hogan. https://wiki/james_p.hogan_. Writer. He wrote several really solid sci-fi books that were hugely influential to me when I was growing up. And then towards the end of his life he became a Holocaust, AIDS, climate change denier. Charles Lindbergh. Netflix was once the streaming service. Always had something to watch and the price was worth it. But now, most of those shows and movies are gone. Some of them long before things like Disney Plus and other network streaming services came about. It got to the point where it was a joke to say, "You wanna watch it? Then it's not on Netflix," or something along those lines. Additionally, Netflix once put out a tweet about how Love is sharing your login, but is now charging extra for every additional party using an account. The price for a subscription has also gone up substantially, to the point where there were times my family considered dropping the subscription entirely. Netflix. How far you've fallen. Ellen DeGeneres. Rudy Giuliani was America's mayor after 9/11, and now Conor McGregor. He had the whole country behind him here in Ireland at one point, bar people who thought combat sport is grotesque. He was witty, original, backing himself up and having a Hollywood-like rise to stardom. Now he's some cokehead who the whole country is ashamed of. Goes punching old men. Clearly sleeps around on his wife while she's at home with the kids. Numerous allegations against him for sexual assault. Just a walking caricature of himself. He didn't listen to his own advice. Get in. Get rich. Get out. Winnie the Pooh. The first Sub-Zero. By Han. From the Mortal Kombat series. He was an excellent assassin and skilled combatant who finally succumbed to darkness and eventually fueled only by vengeance. The current Mexican president. He ran for the presidency 3 straight times on a no corruption, atheist, liberal, feminist, leftist platform. Once he finally won the election and 4 years into his presidency, it's clear he's not just an evangelical conservative, but he may be the most corrupt Mexican president ever. And that's quite an accomplishment in Mexico. Openly working for the Sinaloa cartel and turning his back on the minorities that got him elected. And openly mocking the victims of Mexico's rampant gender violence. Richard Jewell, security guard at the Atlanta Olympics who saved a bunch of people from getting killed by a bomb, could have been killed himself, only to be falsely accused and harassed relentlessly by the FBI and media when an FBI agent leaked to a local reporter that he was a prime suspect. They even tried to convince him that they thought he was a hero and trick him into doing a bomb threat video, where he was the bomber. The idea was to later use that as evidence against him. Poor guy and his family suffered for months while the FBI basically fabricated evidence, raided his home and kept him under surveillance 24 hours a day. He was eventually cleared as a suspect but only after pressure from his lawyer to basically charge him or provide him a statement saying he wasn't a suspect any longer. Erdogan is the perfect example. Believe it or not, when he was the mayor of Istanbul in the late 90s to early 2000s, we was actually pretty progressive and had the general support of the people. Then his election to prime minister happened. He became power hungry. His policies became much more right-wing and less secular, and everyone hates him now.